Hello, everyone. My name is Adeo. I'm CEO of the Decile Group, and I'm here today to take you through our vision for the future of venture ecosystems worldwide, but also a future of humanity. So why don't we get started? I'm going to share my screen and we'll go through a presentation. Then I'll show you some cool things that we're building, and then we'll have plenty of time at the end for questions. Excellent. All right. So Decile Group is a company that I've been working on for the last, couple of years. And the goal is really to unlock the potential of venture capital. And I want to, instead of like kind of giving you this PowerPoint with all these slides and Venn diagrams and all this kind of stuff, I want to just start with imagining a better future, right? Because many of us here have been entrepreneurs, many of us here have been investors, and let's be honest, it sucks. Okay, it sucks to fundraise. I mean, it sucks on all sides of the table. It's just not done really well. There's ethical issues, there's process issues. It's hard to raise, it's hard to get money from LPs, it's hard to give money to entrepreneurs. Everything about this is hard. But I see a better future, right? So imagine a world where if you're a fund manager, 20% of your target fund size comes inbound, right? And for anyone here that's raised a fund, it's one of the hardest things that you can do. And you're constantly hustling to get money. It's not a pleasant experience for anyone. So imagine a world where everything changes and money's coming into you. And then imagine a world where 50% of the deals that you do, so over half of the deals that you do, come from your network, and it's really trusted people bringing surfacing opportunities to you that you find interesting and engaging. And then in that same world, you can spend the majority, over 75% of your time, actually focusing on investing and helping entrepreneurs versus doing all that other junk that you have to do as a fund manager. And, in this world, investors collaborate with founders not to make profits alone, but also to make the world a better place. And therefore, these ethical investors become stewards of a bright future, right? And I want to talk about entrepreneurs as well for a moment, because what about their future? Well, imagine a future as an entrepreneur where you don't need to go pitch hundreds of VCs or dozens of VCs to raise money, but you can upload your information about your company, and the venture capitalists that are a right fit will come to you. And once you get venture investment, the next time that you need money, even before you're ready to go pitch, etc., because you have great investors involved, they bring investors to you before you need the money, and those investors engage with you early, and you don't have to go fundraise, but the money comes to you, right? You don't have to go out. The money comes to you. We have to flip the paradigm, right? Where great entrepreneurs working on meaningful things, the money comes to them versus them constantly going out and pitching endlessly with little or no success with different processes and messy systems. We're going to fix it all, right? And that's Decile Group. We're fixing venture capital at scale because we believe in a bright future, right? We believe that things can be better. We can fix the problems of the world. We believe that venture capital is a force for good in the world, right? It can make this planet better because when you have visionary limited partners that are investing in ethical venture capitalists, they will fund businesses that really make this world a better place. And we need to do it now. The world is on fire. figuratively and literally. And, there's no time like the present to make changes. And unfortunately, the larger institutions of our world, the governments, the NGOs, the corporations have let us down. It's up to the entrepreneurs, it's up to the venture capitalists to make the changes that we need to see in the world. And how do I know this? Because I'm seeing it happen all around the world today. It's just the beginning, right? And so, really, Decile Group, myself, and everyone that I work with, we're here to help. We want to see this transition happen. We need this transition to happen, right? So let's talk about what's happened so far. What have we been able to accomplish? In many ways, this is just the beginning, right? And it's the very, very tip of a big movement that has to spread around the world and make this planet into a machine that's fixing the problems that we ourselves have created, right? So we've launched the top VC accelerator, okay? 50% of all new managers around the world were over the last 2 years. In fact, in last year was probably more than 50%, and the year before was a little under than 50%, were launched by this accelerator called VC Lab. And that's about 503 new firms around the world. And this is our training component. Because if we want to have ethical managers working at scale, we can't take people who've been doing it wrong and try and fix them. We need to bring new people into the asset class that are going to do it right, that come to the asset class with a good ethical guidance and good moral beliefs, and they can make this industry better. And then we've created tools. So we've built the leading platform. There are 893 firms that used our platform in the month of June, okay? And they have worked with the platform to get $1.2 billion of commitments from limited partners, okay? So money is flowing to these new and emerging managers through our platform. And as a result of that, we're starting to see marketplace dynamics that are very exciting. So we want to grow the largest VC marketplace in the world. We have 18,500 deals on the platform. And I'm going to show you some live stats a little bit later. And there are 140,000 limited partners, distinct limited partners. The scale is really staggering. And this is becoming the operating system for modern venture capital. To give you a sense, no one really knows the stats and numbers of the industry, okay? But given what we know, because we're a fairly large part of it, we're probably 10% of all operating firms, and 10% of the money flowing into emerging managers are happening on the platform today. And as I said earlier, this is just the beginning, right? Eventually, we want everyone on the platform. We want VCs, which is our primary focus audience that we will always be serving first, but LPs, and I'll show you how we're helping LPs. And we want startups on the platform as well, because you can't have successful venture capitalists without successful limited partners and without successful startups, right? And so let me cover a little bit of our plan, and then I'll go over the vision. I'll show you some stuff, and we'll go to questions, okay? We are going to rebuild venture capital from the ground up on first principles. We believe that venture capital is a force for good in the world. It has not been a force for good in the world to date. We will change that, okay? Together with the many entrepreneurs, together with the many venture capitalists, together with the many limited partners, we will change this. Everyone I talk to wants to change it. We want to change it. We're going to make it happen. And then as the platform grows and has been growing, it's creating this virtuous cycle where emerging managers get commitments from LPs, they start operating the fund, they generate returns. The LPs are using the platform now to track the performance of the VCs. They're now starting to discover new VCs to invest in, and they invest in the VCs, and that flywheel of value is happening. There's a similar flywheel happening with startups, and the platform at scale is starting to create some unique opportunities, and these are things we're going to pursue. Okay. We've just secured a term sheet for a large financing round that will allow us to do some pretty ambitious things. We're going to provide accurate data and analytics on venture performance. This is one of the least transparent industries, period, especially given A, the scale, B, the returns, and C, how important it is for humanity. Nobody knows how anything is doing. Nobody knows the real returns of the top firms because they don't report to the agencies, right? Nobody knows how many firms there are operating in the world. This is all ridiculous. If this asset class is going to grow and help entrepreneurs and get more limited partners involved, it must be transparent. There needs to be more data and analytics available for people to understand how the asset class works, if it's an attractive investment, etc. We're going to develop transparent and fair liquidity options for investors, right? It's very difficult, right now there's a massive liquidity issue within the industry. It's taking, in some cases, over a decade, sometimes 2 decades to get liquidity for investors. This needs to be fixed. And at scale, you can start to fix it. You can have secondary exchanges where people can sell their positions in secondary markets, but we also have to work on things like opening up the public markets and the like, and the M&A. We need to attract new and significant pools of capital into the asset class, okay? Venture capital has been closed for business. The barriers of entry are high for everyone. It's difficult for startups to raise venture capital. It's difficult for venture capitalists to raise money from limited partners. And it's actually difficult for limited partners to come in the asset class. It's like the whole thing is closed for business, right? And we need to open it up. We need to get more people investing in the asset class so that more startups around the world working on important problems get funded, right? This isn't a nice to have. We need it. The problems we're facing are severe. We need to create widely accepted best practices for venture processes, right? I went out to raise the round, and every single venture capitalist that I pitched, and I pitched, a decent amount, had a different process, had a different set of requirements, had different hoops for me to jump through. It really isn't that complicated, guys. Like, why should the process be different for every company, for every entrepreneur, for every fund? Let's come up with standardized agreements, standardized. I invented the safe. It's not that good, but my God, it's a lot better than everything else. It's going to take us 30 to 45 days to get the preferred agreements done. Okay. 30 days if it's fast, 45 days more realistically. I mean, and the budgets for lawyers on this are ridiculous. I have a $35,000 budget just for the lead investors council, not including my own. This has to stop. We need to make things simple, right? Money needs to flow. We need solutions now. We don't come on. This is ridiculous, right? Standardized process, standardized agreements. We need to make this simple. And then financing vehicles and lines of credit, if whatever's needed by entrepreneurs, whatever's needed by funds should be easy. Right now, you can't insure a fund. It's almost impossible to insure a startup in most cases. It's very difficult to get lines of credit. We need to fix all of that. There needs to be marketplaces for these things that just, it's easy, the easy button, right? I got lots of revenue. I need some, revenue based financing to get to the next step. It's not really a venture deal. That should be at your fingertips. And last but not least, we've got to lobby governments to make these venture ecosystems thrive. Europe is clamping down with massive regulations on everything startup and everything venture, and it's just falling further and further behind, despite having incredibly talented people and lots of money. America, it's God knows, sometimes it's like somewhere in between. Sometimes it clamps down, like on crypto, and sometimes it lets go. And some of the things it tries to do are great. Like one of the stories I'll just take a second here to talk about because I think it's kind of insane and it talks to what we're dealing with. The SEC proposed regulations to increase the ethical floor of venture investing, private equity, and the like, right? And it said, look, our ethical standards are a little low. We're going to raise them just a little bit. And this is the floor, right? This is what no one should hit. It's like borderline criminal. And the NVCA, the trade group for venture capitalists in the United States, sued the SEC to lower them because they raised them too high. And that just goes to show how lost we are. We want more ethics, right? We want higher values and standards. And if someone moves them a little bit in the right direction, the last thing anyone should ever do is sue them to lower those standards, right? But that's the world of the past, right? We're going to build a new world, a better world. And I want to talk about our vision to wrap up this, and then I'll show you a few things and we'll jump to questions. So I see that we set a new ethical standard for investing, where when you talk to an investor, you are certain that they are embodying the highest ethical standards, treating you fairly, protecting your information as confidential, and always looking to do the right thing for all the stakeholders involved. That's the low bar, right? And then they can go higher. I want to have a new low bar that is what might be considered the high bar today. I'd like to lower the barriers of entry to everything for startups, for venture capitalists, and for limited partners. If you have an idea that can make the world a better place, it should be easier for you to start that company. If you have an idea that you want to fund things to make the world a better place, it should be easier for you to start that fund. And if you want to fund changes in the world that will make this a world that we can be proud of, it should be easy for you to be a limited partner. All right? Period. And I want to activate thousands of ethical managers around the world. So right now, they're just not enough, right? Venture is concentrated in about 20 cities around the world, have the power law of venture capital. Well, guess what? There's almost 500 major cities in the world. So the vast majority of them have little or no venture ecosystems at all. Yet we know from running the Founder Institute and from many other initiatives that I've done that there are great entrepreneurs that are going to solve real problems everywhere in the world. And we have real problems everywhere in the world, problems of our own making, problems that need solving. And then we need hundreds of thousands of new limited partners that are going to take wealth that they've amassed, whether it be by being an entrepreneur, by running a traditional business and saying, hey, I want to be part of this change that's needed in the world. And they're going to take their money and they're going to put it into the asset class. And guess what? They're going to get great returns, because you should be able to make a lot of money by doing the right thing. And I think we've come to a place in the world where we believe incorrectly that you can make more money by doing the wrong thing than by doing the right thing. Well, I want to show undisputedly that you can make way more money by doing the right thing than by doing the wrong thing. In fact, I like to tell investors that we work with, the ethical investors, that I want to give you an unfair advantage because of the training, because of the tools, and because of the access to capital. You're going to outperform your peers. And so I want to see ethical managers do 5 times better than their peers that don't have high ethical standards. And this asset class is already the top performing asset class, period. And I want the ethical managers to do 5 times better than their peers. Okay. And then it will just make it clear, abundantly clear, that you can make more money by investing in the right things. And then we want to make sure that all of this goes to startups that are working on things that matter, right? And I'm not saying that, I'm not trying to, if you're working on something that is less important or doesn't matter, good for you. But what I want to do is make sure that we get money in the hands of people working on things that matter, right? That are going to solve the problems of the world, that are going to make this a world that we can be proud of, right? Right now, everyone's struggling, but I'd like to see these people working on things that matter struggle less and eventually have a much easier journey to launch their businesses, to get the funding that they need initially, and then to have the funding that they need as they grow come to them, right? And if we can do all this, we can scale venture capital as a force for good globally. And if we do that, at least with Decile Group, I want to take this firm public so that we have the ultimate level of transparency. In doing so, I want to fix the public markets, which I think have just a huge dark element to them with short selling and other things that are not really for the benefit of humanity. And then I want to allow retail investors to access this asset class in a fully transparent form where they can see everything and understand everything that's going on, because everybody should have the opportunity to participate in something that's going to make this world a better place, right? And so that's the Decile Group.